The problem isn't that your life is falling apart. The problem is that your life is falling together perfectly, checking every single box on the list, and you have never felt more like a ghost haunting your own body. It usually happens on a Sunday. Or maybe for you, it's that specific quiet terror that settles in during the commute home on a Tuesday evening. You are sitting in your car, or you are pressed against the glass of a subway window. Or maybe you are just standing in the shower, letting the hot water hit your back for 10 minutes longer than necessary. And for a split second, the battery of your social performance runs out. The mask slips. You look at your life, this intricate, expensive, carefully curated life you have built, and you feel absolutely nothing. Actually, nothing would be a relief. Nothing is peaceful. What you feel is a low-frequency hum of panic, a static noise in the back of your skull that screams, "Is this it?" You look at your phone and you see the notifications piling up. Emails from people who need things, texts from friends proposing brunch plans that make you want to sleep for 1,000 years, likes on a photo where you looked happier than you have ever actually felt. You are high functioning. That's the label we give it, right? You pay your bills. You show up to meetings. You smile at the barista. You remember birthdays. If I looked at your life from the outside, I would hate you a little bit because you seem to have cracked the code. You have the stability that our parents told us to chase. You have the potential that your teachers praised. But inside you are exhausted in a way that sleep cannot fix. You feel like a fraud, not because you aren't good at your job, but because you suspect that you, the real, messy, terrified human animal, died about 5 years ago. And what's left is just a very efficient autopilot mechanism designed to keep everyone else comfortable. You are drowning in the shallow end of the pool, and the worst part is that you can't ask for help, because on paper, you are swimming perfectly. But stick with me, because if you are brave enough to stop pretending for just 20 minutes, we might be able to figure out why the good life feels so much like a slow suffocation, and how you can actually start breathing again without burning everything to the ground. Let's be honest about what is happening here. We need to diagnose this properly, because if you go to a standard therapist or a career coach, they will try to fix the symptoms. They will tell you to practice mindfulness. They will tell you to get a hobby, or optimize your morning routine, or maybe download a meditation app that gamifies your breathing. They treat your emptiness like it's a bug in the software. They think you are broken because you aren't enjoying the ride. But I am here to tell you the opposite. You are not broken. Your emptiness is not a disease. Your emptiness is the only healthy part of you left. It is the only part of your brain that hasn't been colonized by the script you were handed at birth. We live in a culture that has fetishized fullness. We are told that a good life is a busy life, a stuffed life. We treat our souls like suitcases, trying to jam as many experiences, achievements, connections, and products into them as possible before the zipper bursts. We think that if we just add more money, more travel, more followers, more spiritual clarity, the feeling of the void will go away. But this is the great illusion of our time, the belief that meaning is something you find outside of yourself and bring inside. It's the consumerist model of happiness. You feel empty? Buy a car. Still empty? Buy a relationship. Still empty? Buy a dog. Still empty? Buy a therapy session where you talk about the dog. We are terrified of the gaps. If there is a silence in a conversation, we panic. If there is a gap in our resume, we lie. If there is a free hour in our Sunday afternoon, we instinctively reach for the phone to scroll through the lives of other people, just to avoid being alone with our own thoughts for 30 seconds. You think you are doing this because you are productive or connected. But let's flip the camera. You aren't connecting. You are numbing. You are running a constant interference campaign against your own consciousness. You have built a life that is so loud, so bright, and so demanding that you never have to hear the whisper in your gut asking, who exactly is living this life? It is not that the world is too demanding. It is that you insist on playing the role of the perfect modern human, because you are terrified that if you stop performing, you will cease to exist. You think your value is rent that you have to pay every single day. And the emptiness you feel, that is the exhaustion of a landlord who realizes the tenant, your true self, moved out years. Ego, leaving you to maintain an empty building for neighbors who don't even care. I remember the exact moment this hit me. It wasn't during a tragedy. Tragedies are easy, because in a tragedy, you are allowed to fall apart. No, it was during a victory. I was at a dinner party on a rooftop. It was one of those evenings that looks exactly like a stock photo for success. The lighting was warm and stringy. The wine was expensive enough to have a difficult name. And the people around the table were beautiful, smart, and ambitious. I was sitting there, wearing a shirt that cost more than my father's first car, listening to a guy named Dave talk about his kitchen renovation. Dave was a nice guy. He wasn't a villain. He was talking passionately about marble countertops and the specific shade of off-white he chose for the cabinets. And everyone was nodding. Everyone was engaged. They were asking follow-up questions about the contractor. They were laughing at the right moments. It was a perfect scene of civilized adult friendship. And suddenly, the sound cut out. It was like my brain just pulled the plug on the audio. I watched Dave's mouth moving. I saw the marble countertop enthusiasm in his eyes, and I felt like I was watching an alien species. I looked down at my hands, and they didn't look like my hands. I looked at the wine. Glass, and it looked like a ridiculous prop. A thought clear as a bell rang through my head. I do not care about any of this. I do not care about the marble. I do not care about your job. I do not care about my job. I am sitting on a roof talking about nothing, waiting to die. It wasn't depression. I wasn't sad. It was a terrifying clarity. It was the realization that I was an actor in a play I didn't remember auditioning for. I looked around the table and realized that maybe, just maybe, everyone else was acting too. Maybe Dave didn't really care about the marble either. Maybe Dave was just terrified of the silence too. Maybe we were all just shouting, "I exist! I have cabinets! I matter!" into the void, hoping it would echo back. But here is the turning point. Usually, in that moment, I would have drank more wine to drown the voice. I would have made a joke. I would have complimented the marble. But that night, I couldn't. Dave turned to me and asked, "So, what are you working on these days?" The script required me to say something impressive. "Oh, scaling the business," or "just finished a big project." Instead, I put my glass down. I looked at him and I said, "Honestly, I'm just trying to figure out why I'm so tired all the time. I think I hate my career." The silence that followed was heavy. It was uncomfortable. It was rude. The social contract had been breached. I had brought realness to a polite table. But then something strange happened. The girl across from me, who had been checking her watch every 3 minutes, exhaled. Her shoulders dropped. "God," she said. "Me too. I cry in the bathroom at work like twice a week." Suddenly, the marble countertops were gone. The performance shattered. For the next hour, we didn't talk about renovations or promotions. We talked about fear. We talked about the pressure. We talked about how weird it is to be an adult. We actually connected. I realized then that my emptiness wasn't because I didn't have enough. It was because I was starving for something real, and I was trying to feed myself with plastic fruit. This feeling you have? It has a pedigree. You are not the first person to look at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and wonder what. The point is, this is the oldest ghost story in human history. Let's go back to France, mid-20th century. Post-World War II. Smoke-filled cafes, jazz, and a guy with a wandering eye and a pipe named Jean-Paul Sartre. He and his partner, Simone de Beauvoir, practically invented the vocabulary for the panic you are feeling. Sartre had this concept called mauvaise foi, bad faith. He used the example of a waiter in a cafe. He watched this waiter moving through the room. The waiter's movement was a little too precise. His bow was a little too eager. He was balancing the tray with a little too much flourish. Sartre said that this man wasn't just being a waiter, he was playing at being a waiter. He was reducing himself to an object, a role, a function. Why? Because to be a waiter is safe. It has rules, it has a script. You know what to do. But to be a human being, that is terrifying. A human being has total freedom. A human being has to choose every second who they are. And that freedom, Sartre said, is dizzying. It creates nausea. So we trade our freedom for a role. You trade your humanity to be the reliable manager. You trade your soul to be the good mother. You trade your wild, unpredictable self to be the chill boyfriend. You become an object because objects don't have existential crises. A chair doesn't worry about its purpose. A chair just sits there. You want to be a chair, but you aren't a chair. That's the conflict. Contextualize this with today. We are living in what the modern philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the burnout society. In the past, specifically in the disciplinary societies, think Foucault, think 19th century factories, the world told you no. You were repressed. You had a boss or a king who said, "You cannot do this." Today, the world tells you yes. The mantra of our time is, you can. You can be anything. You can be an entrepreneur. You can be an influencer. You can be fit, rich, spiritual, and woke all at the same time. The violence is no longer coming from a boss yelling at you. The violence is coming from inside you. You have become your own slave driver. You exploit yourself, and you imagine that you are free because you are investing in yourself. But the result is the same. Exhaustion. You are Sisyphus, but you aren't pushing a boulder up a hill because Zeus cursed you. You are pushing the boulder up the hill because you think there is a pot of gold or a verified check mark at the top. And every time the rock rolls down, you don't blame the gods. You blame your mindset. You blame your lack of discipline. You are trapped in a prison where the door is wide open, but you are too busy counting the bricks on the wall to walk out. So, how do we break out? We need a new set of rules. We need to rewrite the operating system. Here is the hidden manual for dealing with the void without buying more useless junk. Rule number 1. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. Stop trying to cure your anxiety about the future. That anxiety is the proof that you are free. If you were a robot, you wouldn't be anxious. The fact that you feel lost means you have the power to navigate. The map isn't missing. You just stopped looking at the horizon because you were staring at your feet. Rule number 2. If you don't define your own enough, the market will define it as more. The world is designed to make you feel incomplete. That is how the GDP grows. If you are happy with what you have, the economy collapses. Your self-hatred is a line item on someone else's balance sheet. Understanding this is the first step to rebellion. The most punk rock thing you can do in the 21st century is to sit in a chair, stare at a wall, and realize you don't need to buy, post, or achieve anything to be worthy of existence. Rule number 3. You are not your avatar. We have confused our resume virtues with our eulogy virtues. Resume virtues are the things you bring to the marketplace: competence, speed, intelligence, networking. Eulogy virtues are the things people talk about when you're dead: kindness, bravery, honesty, love. You are spending 95% of your energy polishing your resume virtues, hoping they will fill the hole in your soul. But the hole is in the eulogy section. You are lonely because you are presenting a polished statue to the world, and statues cannot be loved. They can only be admired, and admiration is a very cold substitute for love. Rule number 4. Disappointment is mandatory. You have to accept that every choice you make requires the murder of every other possibility. If you choose to be a lawyer, you are killing the version of you that was a musician. If you choose to settle down, you are killing the version of you that travels the world alone. We feel empty because we mourn the lives we didn't live. But the alternative is to live no life at all. To stand in the hallway staring at the doors, terrified to open one until the lights go out, pick a door, mourn the others, walk through. This is where the rubber meets the road. I don't want you to quit your job tomorrow and move to a yurt in Peru. That's just another form of running away. I want you to start living differently right here, in the middle of the mess. First, the practice of de-rolling. When you get home, or when you are with your close friends, physically take off the costume. I mean, this metaphorically and literally. Stop using your work voice. You know the voice. That slightly higher pitched, accommodating, I'm just circling back voice. Kill it. Speak from your chest. If you are tired, say, I am tired. If you don't know the answer, say, I don't know. The more you practice authenticity in small moments, the less terrifying the void becomes. You realize that people don't leave when you stop performing. They actually step closer. Second, audit your emotional rent. Look at the obligations in your life. The dinners you don't want to attend. The favors you do for people who don't appreciate them. The extra hours you work just to be seen working. Imagine your energy is a bank account with no overdraft protection. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you are bouncing a check. Eventually, the bank closes your account. That's burnout. Start saying no. No excuses. No, I'd love to, but I have a dentist appointment. Just, I can't make it, but thank you. You will feel guilty. Let the guilt sit there. Guilt is the price of freedom. It is better to feel guilty than to feel resentful. Third, schedule the void. This is the hardest one. I want you to take 15 minutes a day. No phone, no music, no book, no meditation guide telling you to visualize a forest. Just sit. It will be excruciating. Your brain will scream. You will remember every embarrassing thing you did in high school. You will worry about your retirement fund. Let it scream. This is the detox. You are addicted to distraction. You need to relearn how to be alone with yourself. Because if you can't stand your own company for 15 minutes, why should anyone else? In that silence, eventually, the screaming stops. And underneath the noise, you might hear a very quiet voice telling you what you actually want. Not what your parents want. Not what Instagram wants. What you want. Here is the truth that hurts, but will set you free. No one is coming to save you. There is no future version of you that will magically have it all figured out. There is no promotion that will make you feel arrived. There is no partner who will complete you. You are waiting for permission to live. You are waiting for a certificate that says you are now a valid adult. It is never coming, and that is the best news you could possibly hear. Because if no one is coming to save you, it means no one is coming to stop you either. The cage you are in. The door is unlocked. It has always been unlocked. You are the one holding it closed because the outside is scary. The emptiness you feel is not a vacuum. It is space. It is a canvas. It feels empty because you haven't painted anything on it yet. You've just been tracing over other people's drawings. Stop tracing. Embrace the void. The void is where the magic happens. The void is where you get to decide, for the first time in your life, who you actually are when nobody is watching. So, here is the question you need to carry with you this week. It's a question that cuts through the noise like a knife. If you stopped trying to be good and just started trying to be real, who would you be? Stop fixing yourself. You aren't broken. You're just bored of the lie. So tell the truth. It's a lot more interesting.